This is what we call Seedy McSeedcase. I got the idea of using these photo storage containers off someone on YouTube. It might have been Plot 37, I think. So we've got most of our seeds in this. We also keep some bigger seeds like our beans and stuff in another bigger tin because they don't actually fit in these very well once you've got a few bean packets. But what we want today is the allium container. Like most people, we have various seeds of various vintages and a few random ones kicking around in the bottom there. So this is all our alliums, which covers basically the onions. So we've got some newer unopened packets here that I bought last year. We've got Tough Ball from King Seeds, Carmen Sweet Red from Real Seeds, Density 4 Long Storing Onion. Now these are older ones from Sutton's, used by 7 of 2023. Everyone has a few of these old packets around, right? That have been used in previous years and may or may not be so good anymore. This packet of seeds was not particularly ordered in any particular way, so it looks like there is some order in it. Spring onions are coming next in this, which are from Real Seeds, some White Lisbon, another one of the older packets. Doesn't feel like there's much in that. That's in some Ishikuras, Ramrod, salad onions. Zabrina shallots, another thing we're trying new for the first time this year. That's with the Real Seeds set. Leek Elephant style, or variety leek. We've grown them and they were quite good. The garlic chives and chives, so they just basically kind of belong in the herb packet, but we put them in the alliums. Get rid of them. This is a funny one here. So back during lockdown times in 2020, when it was basically impossible to buy seeds in the UK, I ordered some off Amazon, and I didn't realise at the time they were coming from China, which is fine. So much stuff comes from China. I don't have a problem with that in and of itself, except it took about 2 or 3 months for them to get to us. And I don't think we ever actually successfully germinated these supposedly purple spring onions. And they have quite big allium-looking seeds. But what we'll do is we'll do two things. We're going to plant out a bit of everything here, basically as a germination test. And we're also going to plant out our known newer ones in a normal seed tray. And we're also going to do a bit of soil sterilisation. So we'll get on with that in a moment. I'll put all of these aside and we'll move on to something else. I'm not super particular about what I use as a soil for raising seeds. I sieve it, and this is a mixture of some old bagged compost, some reused compost, and a bit of worm compost. And that's why there's some random little bits of egg shell in there. But we don't do it that way. We actually crush our egg shell into powder these days. And one thing I do tend to do with my seed raising soil is sterilise it. And what I used to do was put it in a big tray in the oven. But the other day I was sterilising some coffee grounds for growing mushrooms in the microwave, and when I got to doing this today I thought, well, why don't we try the microwave? I don't see any problems with that. I did a little web search and it seems that's a thing people do. So what we'll do is we'll use this very cheap plastic container. I wouldn't put a pile of soil in your fanciest kitchen containers. These were a few p each from the supermarket a while back, I believe. And we will fill up this plastic container with some soil and then we'll microwave it. Okay, that should be enough. We don't want to have too much in there. Cool, and now we'll put that in the microwave. What I found works for this is to do about 3 sets of 5 minutes on high. This is just a little 800 watts microwave, so it's not the most powerful thing in the world, but it does the job. So what we do between runs is we pull it out and give it a good little stir so that it's all mixed together and the temperature is evenly distributed, because microwaves do have that tendency to heat up pockets rather than heat the whole thing evenly. So we'll give all that a nice stir like that. And then we see where we are on our temperature. Stick a little instant read thermometer in. So we're looking like we're in the low 50s there. We're actually aiming for mid 80s. So we'll bung that in for another 5 minutes. Oop, back on properly. Right. And then another 5 minutes on there. Okay. Oh, that's feeling quite warm. It looks like we might have only needed 2 lots of 5 minutes for this. Probably because it was a bit warmer to start with than a lot I cooked earlier. What we got here? Okay, not quite as warm as I thought. No worries. We're aiming for mid 80s after mixing. So we'll pop that in. Not for another 5 minutes, I think. But we'll pop that in for 3 minutes and see how we go. Steaming hot mud pie. Right, so get that all nicely stirred around and check the temperature. Helps if we turn the thermometer on. And there we are, straight up to nearly 90 degrees. So that one is cooked. That's good. Now that needs to cool down because obviously we can't plant seeds into 90 degree soil. So we'll pop him back into there for a while. And as they say, here's one I made earlier. We're at 33 degrees in there, so that's not going to be a problem for planting into. Now when it comes to seed trays, we've used these for a couple of years. They were cheapies off Amazon. I was attracted to the sales point that you could poke things out easily, but the reality is you can't. And I've actually shattered several of these trying to reshape them. A bit of hot water helps, but they're sort of running out. And then we had the problem last summer. We left some in a window and this happened. So their little trays are a little bit screwed. So they're not great, but they have lasted us a little while. And we will keep using the best of them while we can. Now, what we have done this year is bought some of these fancy containerwise trays. Bit of an investment. We've only bought 4 of them. 2 of these ones and then a couple of the next sizes up just to try them out and see what we think of them. And I think they are going to last a very long time by the feel of it. They're up to the hype on gardening YouTube. We'll see. But the first thing we're going to do today is actually just get some soil into here. And we're doing a germination test. Because we have so many of these old seeds with varying provenances and ages, we're going to do a thing where we multi-sow 5 seeds into each cell. There's 5 in there. So just 5, press them down a little bit. I'm not going to worry about doing a test with my newer good seed. We'll do the test of them in the sense of actually growing them. But some of this other stuff, just to give this particular packet, or this particular section in the seed tray a test and know if there's any we should just throw out. Oh, that's a bit too many of them again. 5 in there. And to remember what order I'm putting things in, I'm just putting stuff back there in the same order I'm putting it into the sections in here. Shorten seeds and ramrod, bunching onions. Yeah, a little bit more careful pouring these out, hey? There we go, there's 5 seeds. long white Ishikura. These have a sow by December 2023, so they're a good year past that date. I'm actually not sure if there's anything in here. Oh, look at that. 5 seeds. Now these growing samples won't go to waste if we have any germination in any of them. They will eventually make their way into the garden. Okay, I'm not going to plant these ones as part of my normal sowing, so I'm going to test them out first. I've already got a good new red onion seed. Okay, just seed. Spring onion, white Lisbon. Is that open? Yeah, it's open. Oop. These are just loose in there. And for completeness of this particular part of the seed case, we'll also do our chives, if I can make my way into them. We don't really grow many chives. We probably should, because I do like them. We grow more garlic chives. We do have a section of garlic chives in our little raised bed at home. And that were these ones here from, where are they from? The herbery. They're quite old ones as well, I believe. I can't see any dates on them. Well, they're big ones. We actually have some newer seeds of these somewhere, which we've harvested from our own plants. Okay, so we've got 4 spare there. We should probably put something in there. Give me a moment, I've got one idea. Now I've been eyeing these up in our little garlic chive strip out the front for a while. There's little seeds in there. So what we'll do is we'll extract a few of those seeds somewhere and get them into those last 4 cells. That'll do. Place a few of those seeds into each section. I imagine they're going to be good because they're literally this year's seeds. They've been sat on those plants since the autumn, I guess. I'll pop them in there. Okay, there we go. So we've got random lockdown purple spring onions, elephant leeks, ramrod spring onions from Chilton Seeds, and D-Ray Ishikura spring onions, and that's the last of those seeds really. So if we get any, great, we'll plant them out and have a little bunch of spring onions. If not, then it doesn't really matter. So the North Holland blood red onions, the Just Seed spring onion, white Lisbon, and then the chives from D-Ray as well, and the garlic chives from the herbery. I think they were called the Herb Farm online. And then 4 cells of our own garlic chives from out in the front garden. We'll see how that goes. Get all this out of the way. Now, I like to water these from the bottom, so let me get some water into this tray. So a bit of water in there, pop them straight into it, and we'll leave that until they start to look glistening wet on the top. And as these are a germination test, what I'm mainly going to do is put a little bit of vermiculite over the top and put a little hood over them, which will keep them in a nice moist environment and hopefully enhance their germination. So yeah, these also came with these little nifty lids, so that's quite good. They're nice, they're just not quite what I'd hoped they would be. So just a little bit of vermiculite on them. Just cover those seeds over. You don't have to do this, a bit of soil's fine as well. If I see vermiculite on special in the shops, I grab a bag, and a little bit goes a long way. And as you can see, I'm just using sprinkles here. I don't really use this as a soil additive or anything. I pretty much just use it for some seed sowing. And we'll tip the excess water out of that in a little while and put it somewhere warm to germinate. Now, we'll move on to our proper onion sowing. So for these, our earliest onions, we're going to go the Charles Dowding style multi-sow and put 5 per module, and grow them as bunches basically. Now from King's seeds here we have Tough Ball F1 onion. I think I picked up the interest in these from Steve's Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel. He grows them all the time, I think. These are just a selection from the Real Seeds catalogue, which I bought last year. We've got Carmen Sweet Red Onion, a Density Long Storing Onion, and a Zebruna Shallot. So this is the first year in a while we've tried growing onions from seeds. We have done it before, but we've usually used sets, but we've been pretty disillusioned by sets bolting to seed all the time. And shallots also we tend to grow from little shallots, and we do have some small shallots planted, and they'll branch out into multiple little clusters of shallots. What we're going to do is we're going to try multi-sowing some of these as well. See how that goes. Oh, I've got an idea already for an experiment. Here we go. I'm going to multi-sow one row and single sow one. I'll probably put 5 seeds in one row and maybe 2 or 3 in the next. We'll thin these ones out till we've just got one. So we'll try growing them as individual plants as well as multi-sown plants. That's a fun experiment to do in the allotment. Anyway, let's get some soil into this and crack on. These seed trays do eat the soil, don't they? We're going to have to move on to our hot soil. That is toasty hot. We're not going to plant into something that's hot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it out into these, because that way it'll cool down faster, and then come back with a temperature probe later, and when I'm down around 30 we'll get these planted. This is mostly just now to make sure that it's going to cool down a little bit faster, which it won't take too long. It's, what is it? It's 10 degrees in this room to our kitchen. Okay, right, I shall be back. Okay, here we go. We're 28 degrees, 27 or so. Plenty cool enough for seeds now. I'll get all these firmed in. I'm already liking the feel of these containerwise trays, I can tell you that much. Where are we going to start? We'll start with the Tough Ball F1s. So I do like to try and follow the instructions where they are provided. What do we have here? Early sowings can be made under glass. Sow seed on the surface of seed sowing compost and lightly cover with a sprinkling of vermiculite or compost. Oh yeah. Don't be too fussy about that vermiculite. And I'm not going to be too precious about the numbers, but I'm going to put about 5 seeds per cell. 5 to 6. I can't remember exactly how many Charles Dowding says he does, but it's okay. We're not Charles Dowding, just doing what we can. And then, like I said, we'll do multi-sown here, and then we'll do a run of single sown. I'm sowing 2 seeds per cell here. Okay, so they're in there then. Give them a little press into that soil. And that's our Tough Balls. To keep track of where I'm up to, I'll put the vermiculite in as I go. Okay, time to get the long storing onion density 4 in. Density IV. But I'm assuming it's density 4 rather than density IV. A few seeds of them. Same thing. 5 or 6 seeds in the first row, and then 2 seeds per cell in the second row. Next set, the Carmen sweet red onion. And finally, the brunette shallots. I did consider not bothering to try single shallots and just doing all of these as multi-sown clusters, but I think I'll do the same experiment because it'll be interesting to see if it's worth trying to grow singular large shallots instead of little clusters of shallots. As we're generally quite satisfied with the way these shallots grow when we do them from growing the little shallots as they grow into little clusters, I suspect multi-sowing will work fine for shallots. But we'll try the experiment anyway. Some extras in there. They're going to be quite thickly multi-sown unless I thin them out. Okay, so press them down. And the final bit of vermiculite. Right. So we just want to get these watered. Again, I will drop them into a tray of water and let them soak it up before putting them away. So these real seeds are actually literally just sat in those. So I'm going to pop a little bit of tape on there to save them from ending up running around loose in the tray. Problem with using the case as a way to store them is it tends to get tossed around a little bit and the seeds can end up running around the place. As you may have seen earlier from the what are probably purple spring onion seeds floating around in there. I'd rather do this with masking tape, but this is the tape I got to hand. King seed ones aren't so bad because they are inside the little packet. So I'll just fold that over. And then there's those loose seeds I was talking about running around in there. So they can all go back in their proper little home, along with the other allium seeds, and safely back in the case. Cool, now let's get some water for these seeds. Okay, a bit of water for them to soak up. I didn't buy any special trays or anything to go with the containerwise trays. We have plenty of these sorts of gravel trays around, and thankfully they fit in them quite nicely, which means we can use all our existing bits and pieces. So none of these things really fit together perfectly. I don't think this is a correct lid for that, but that'll do fine for germinating a few seeds. So that's all good. We'll let them soak up their water and then pop them somewhere warm. And I must remember which is the left and the right of that, because otherwise I shall definitely forget. Okay, time to pack up and turn the kitchen back into a cooking space. And there they are on our grow shelf, where it's around 20 degrees for more than half the day, and above 16 for the rest of the day, which should do fine for some alliums. Okay. Grow, little alliums, grow. And it's Saturday, just under a week later, and we have good germination across most of those seed varieties in the big tray, the onions and the shallots. Over in the trials tray, there's not a whole lot going on. A bit of a mouldy looking mycelium or something, Not quite sure where that's come from, but we do have some germination in this one, which is the elephant leeks. And I don't think anything else there seems to have germinated at all yet. We'll give it some more time, see what happens.